Welcome, history lovers, and people who just clicked because they saw an old castle in the thumbnail. You're about to embark on a journey through the 10 oldest countries and languages in Europe, where history is so ancient that even their national mascots might have been knights. Europe is packed with old stuff. Old cities, old kings, old grudges, looking at you, France and England. But today we're ranking the countries with the deepest roots in history, the longest-standing cultures and languages that somehow survived the chaos of time. And no, English doesn't make the list. Sorry, Shakespeare. But Old English sounded more like someone sneezing than an actual language. Let's jump in. First up, we've got Portugal, a country that's like that cool grandpa who's been around forever, seen it all, and still somehow keeps up with the trends. Established in 1143, Portugal is the oldest country in Europe, with unchanged borders since its founding. They've survived countless wars, inquisitions, and even had time to invent Pastéis de Nata, those little custard tarts that are basically a hug in pastry form. From Brazil to Macau, the Portuguese Empire proved that you don't need to be big to be mighty, just resourceful, determined, and maybe with a little bit of spice trade on the side. The language of these OG explorers, Portuguese, evolved from Latin, brought to the Iberian Peninsula by Roman soldiers and settlers. Unique features of Portuguese include its nasal vowels and complex verb conjugations, which set it apart from other Romance languages. Portuguese has influenced many languages around the world, especially in former colonies like Brazil, Mozambique, and Goa, leaving a lasting legacy of linguistic diversity. France, the land of baguettes, berets, and existential philosophers who make you question your life choices. Founded in 843 AD with the Treaty of Verdun, which was basically the medieval version of a messy divorce settlement between three brothers who couldn't agree on how to split up their dad's kingdom. France has been a major player on the world stage ever since. And let's not forget about the French language, which, like a fine wine, has only gotten better, or at least more sophisticated, with age. About 30% of English words actually come from French. That's because of that little historical hiccup known as the Norman Conquest of 1066, where William the Conqueror decided to pop over to England and say, "Bonjour, this is my country now." Next up, we have Spain, a country that knows how to make an entrance and a conquest. We're talking about the Spanish Armada, Conquistadors, and an empire so vast it stretched across the continents. Evolving from what linguists lovingly call vulgar Latin, Spanish has become one of the most spoken languages on the planet. Spain itself might have unified relatively recently in 1516, but its regions, like Catalonia, Andalusia, and the Basque Country, have cultures so old and distinct they make even the most seasoned historian raise an eyebrow. Spanish has over 500 million speakers worldwide, but Spain itself only has about 47 million people. Talk about global outreach. Germany, from fairy tales to unification, and really long words. Germany, as a unified nation-state, is actually younger than Coca-Cola, officially coming together in 1871. But the Germanic peoples, their culture, and their amazingly complex language have been around for over 1,500 years. Before Germany was a unified country, it was basically a bunch of smaller kingdoms, duchies, and free cities, all doing their own thing, fighting each other, because why not? While simultaneously brewing delicious beer, writing epic fairy tales, and coming up with words so long they could be entire sentences. Take, for example, the word Donaudampfschifffahrtsgesellschaftskapitan. It's a mouthful, literally, and it means Danube Steamship Company captain. Greece, where democracy was born, and so was philosophy and tragedies. Okay, folks, we're going way back in time now. Back to a land of myths, legends, and philosophers who loved to argue about the meaning of life while wearing bed sheets. Greece is so old that even their ruins have ruins. Greek is the oldest written language in Europe that's still spoken today, which is mind-blowing when you think about it. The Greeks were also pioneers in philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and of course, drama. They invented tragedy, comedy, and the concept of the epic hero, which is probably why we still love watching movies about superheroes and ancient battles today. Iceland, Vikings, Volcanoes, and a language frozen in time. Iceland has a special place in history for being home to the oldest parliament in the world, the Alþingi, established all the way back in 930 AD. Icelandic is considered one of the most unchanged languages in Europe, meaning that modern Icelanders can still pick up a Viking saga from 1,000 years ago and read it without needing subtitles. It's like the Icelandic people decided to put their language in a linguistic time capsule, preserving its grammar and vocabulary for centuries. For example, Glugavadur describes the kind of weather that looks nice from inside but will kill you if you go outside. Nestled high in the Apennine Mountains of Italy, we find the Republic of San Marino, a country so old even Rome is like, wait, you're still here? San Marino is the world's oldest surviving republic, founded way back in 301 AD by Saint Marinus, a stonemason fleeing persecution. Legend has it that he told his followers to create a republic based on liberty and freedom, and well over 1,700 years later, they're still going strong. It's a land of medieval castles, winding cobblestone streets, and breathtaking views that will make you want to burst into spontaneous Italian opera. Georgia, the cradle of wine, and a language older than time. Get ready to raise your glasses, folks, because we're about to explore a country that's been toasting to good times and good company for longer than almost anyone else on Earth. Welcome to Georgia, the birthplace of wine and a land where ancient traditions meet modern vibes. The Georgian language is one of the oldest languages in the world, with its own unique alphabet that looks like a beautiful secret code. This small nation has survived invasions, empires, and countless attempts to erase its identity. So, the next time you're enjoying a glass of wine, preferably Georgian of course, take a moment to appreciate the long and fascinating history of this small but mighty nation. Lithuania, the Baltic secret with a language that whispers of ancient times. Get ready to learn about Lithuania, a land of forests, lakes, and a language that's like a time machine to the dawn of Indo-European languages. The Lithuanian language is one of the oldest spoken languages in Europe, with roots that stretch back thousands of years. The Grand Duchy of Lithuania was once the largest country in Europe, stretching from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. So the next time you hear someone speaking Lithuanian, stop and listen. You might not understand the words, but you'll be hearing echoes of a language that's been spoken for millennia. Vatican City, where Latin lives on and tourists get pickpocketed. Welcome to Vatican City, the smallest country in the world with a history that spans millennia. Vatican City is the guardian of Latin, the language of the Roman Empire, the language of scholars and saints, the language that gave birth to countless other languages spoken throughout Europe and beyond. Sure, Latin might be considered a dead language by most, but in the hallowed halls of the Vatican, it's very much alive. But here's a fun fact that's a little less holy and a little more ironic. Vatican City has the highest crime rate per capita in the world. Now, before you start picturing cardinals running heists on the Sistine Chapel, I should clarify that most of these crimes are petty thefts committed by, you guessed it, tourists. That's a wrap on European history, for now. So there you have it, folks, the 10 oldest countries and languages in Europe. From Portugal's seafaring adventures to Lithuania's linguistic time capsule, we've explored a continent brimming with ancient history, fascinating cultures, and languages that have survived the test of time. Which country surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because history never stops, and neither do we.